We are back. So I started the educational videos, educational video yesterday. So the idea about this, this format is going to be on YouTube mostly. So it's going to be me playing Rapid Tenno and to explain my move as I go along. This is going to be good for learning. Anybody from beginners all the way to even expert or more, you could learn from my videos. This gives a better idea. So I've been experimenting. That's before I continue talking. So I've been experimenting with it too. Is this actually King's Gambit? I mean, excuse me, not King's Gambit, King's Indian. I'm looking at King's Gambit e4, e5, f4, which it's still interesting opening. Or also takes, queen takes. So the point of this educational videos is actually going to be explaining the moves, not so much the openings because I can play different openings. It's going to be based on the ideas, positional means, and also tactics, what to look for, what I'm looking for, like, what kind of plans I'm going for, how often I match the moves with my opponent. The opponents could be, making the same move that I'm looking for. So I've tried to play different opponents. Could be lower, higher. Games are going to be competitive. Winning or losing is part of the game, and but we're just doing it for learning purposes here. Tell your friends about me so you could, they could learn. This is coming from me, self-taught national master. So I still played a lot of tons of games over the past, like maybe even 20 plus years. Wow, that's crazy. It's been that long. So it's I have tons of experience playing online and also O2B tournaments. So knight c6 is interesting. Let's dive in though, talking about the openings. This feels like it's King's Indian with white setup, was play queen e2, and then the d pawn moves, and eventually, I mean, this is not the same, but obviously it's close. So knight c6, we could play here. Actually, the only worry about blacks here is actually this bishop on g2 could be really nice diagonal. Maybe bishop d7. So bishop d7 maybe it's okay. You could try this. Oh, that's interesting. So we could take queen takes. Maybe he's lining up for c6, defending any possible, me taking on b7. So he's gonna do this. The real question is, how could I make improvements? If I play here, he might just go back. Could I play here? He plays c6, bishop e5, queen d8. Am I making gains? I mean, it's a good square for the bishop, but is it doing anything except bishop e5? I mean, bishop f4, c6 looks like it's optimal way to play. Knight b5 is not allowing. Maybe here, bishop f4 allowing. So maybe I could do this here, bishop f4. Problem is knight d5 that I could take. Queen takes, knight takes c7, pawn takes. Maybe I could still take on c7, but you're giving up that bishop, to trading it that way. And also here, you could go queen b6. So that way, defending here, defending on attacking the, the knight, but I could still play e4, which could get really tricky. Let's play it though. Let's have some fun. The reason I don't like knight d4 is because it does allow like white getting some tempos against the queen, like and I tell people or even students that be careful where you put your queen. Like this kind of a trade, right? We traded on d4, but your queen could get harassed. Like knight b5, I'm attacking the queen, and it's gonna be a problem. Queen d8. So what about this? So now he could do here, but we could also take and claim we have the bishop pair, but it doesn't solve b7 unless he plays d5. So here, maybe we could play c4. I mean, he could try this. But at least we're making some gains now. h6 is g5 is a possibility here. That must be really crazy. I mean, let's have some fun. So the pawn moves here. I mean, he could play e5. himself, but this may allow b5 being a weakness. So you have to be careful when you play pawn moves here. I always tell people like pawn moves are really critical in chess. It is critical in chess big time because any pawn moves give a weaknesses could be, or you cannot take it back. You know, it's one-time deal, right? Queen e7 is kind of strange because d5 is not really playable now. I guess I could take here, and the queen would be hanging. I could still play e5. There's a potential e6 I could do. You could try e6 himself, but this weaken up b6 square. This is all gonna be good for white. I'm also having two bishops, so any diagonal now, it's gonna be good for any kind of diagonal is gonna be good for you know, for white. So he plays e5. Is he really attacking it? He's not, because the queen is still hanging. So you always need to keep an eye on things like this. I mean, do you have to move it? Could you lose a turn? You don't want to lose turns. He'd lose a turn. We don't care about him. We don't care about the opponent. We care about, you know, we optimizing our position. So maybe even c5. But the point of c5, what does it exactly do? He cannot really take, right? So he cannot take here because the queen is hanging. But if he takes here, we could take here. We're weakening up his position a little bit more. The pawn is still could be concerning how we could defend against it. You know, the two bishops are really lining up together now. Like, do you have diagonals to play for? Let's try this. See what he does. d5. We still take on e5. Yeah, this is a decent move. Now he's threatening it. Now you have to keep an eye on what your opponent is doing, and this is a direct pawn takes is doable, but have here. And also we're lining up for this, and here and bishop takes. Knight d7. Potential. It's also, somebody asked me not long ago, which rook to move, like if you have a choice between rook e1 and rook fe1. It probably rook fe1 makes sense because you want to keep the rook at e1 maybe in a different file. So rooks belong to open files or even semi-open files. So I could actually take here, knight d7, d4, f6. We have queen c4 just on time. Oh, he has here, takes here. We also have a6. That's also troubling. So rook belongs to open files. You know, it's like rook in e1 is still this not open yet, but it's still like, you know, he's trying to open it. Like if we play rook ac1, this is like almost it's almost open, right? So rook enjoy open files. They don't enjoy being, you know, like blocked by its own pieces or the opponent pieces matter even there. So now right now at this position, it looks like I'm really actively, you know, I'm active all across the board. I'm playing on the, you know, queen side. I'm playing on the center. You know, the bishop on g2 is, you know, a beast. It almost feels like I'm playing a Catalan, but you know, the Catalan did not work in this line, but it's like really strong. Bishop on g2. The reason Catalan is very strong opening is because it's pretty annoying. It's pretty amazing opening. It's hard to find a way to equalize against it with black. So he plays e5, d5. I suppose he wants to take on queen takes c5 in some line. I could play b4. I could also take. He's blocking the access for the bishop, so he wants to take maybe here. I could do this here. We could push. Queen takes. It's here. Do we have pawn takes? That's actually the question. Queen takes here. Do we have a trick that we could take here before he goes over here? We could try it. Yeah, I think it works. He's looking at this. Not so much trading. Oh, he's trading. Okay, that's news. That's news. All right. I'm assuming rook takes. Because we're attacking the bishop. We're attacking the bishop, by the way. So the rook is attacking here. Okay, but that's totally winning now because I could take here. And he doesn't have time for this because rook takes. So that's winning, of course. He resigned. All right, we give him a rematch. Again, win or lose is part of the game, but we are just simply looking for instructive ideas. Oh wow, old timer. I like that. So I played different openings, G6 modern. So the reason I like the modern, especially online, is good against D4, C4, E4, even knight F3. It's just flexibility of, like you don't have to. There's still theory though, but it just takes care of a lot of studying time. It's not a bad opening at all. It's still pretty good. It gives you some dynamic play, and you still have to know it, but it's pretty flexible. So here, you could play knight c3. I mean, I remember doing e5, a lot of e5. Is it e5 here? I guess, I believe so. I mean, sometimes people do this. Suppose we could take. This feels like already queen is gonna get off the board. Bishop g5. Takes, bishop g5. Knight d5. Yeah, the rook is gonna get active over here. I mean, c6 maybe walks into like here, knight e4. Gonna take c6. So stopping here, I mean, he could still play here, but bishop e6. Yeah, c5 is interesting. Bishop e6. He's still gonna play knight e4. Does not seem to do much. I mean, if he wants to trade, it's okay. I mean, that's gonna be two bishops. All right, how about we kick this one out? I mean, it would be shocking if he takes. I mean, maybe he could take a knight e4. Maybe this is actually an idea. Like here, knight e4, bishop e7, knight d6. I mean, maybe e2 could be hanging in some line there. I mean, it's potential. But b7 is being under attack, so maybe it still works. Maybe he could do it. I mean, that means that as well pre-move it. And this forcing pretty much me to move the bishop. He didn't do it, which... That's interesting, though. So I don't like the rook being on d1 like this because I feel like it's still creating some... The rook belongs in open file, and this is like 1. So here we counter it. He may take a rook d1. I mean, this may be heading... I don't think rook d1 works now because I could take twice and then e2 is hanging. So maybe you could play e3 and consider trading everything and go for a lame draw. b5. Okay, do we have time for this? Oh, wait. Oh, that still works. Yeah, it still works. The real question is which way to take, because you could claim that he could take with a pawn and then somehow d5, is it really attackable or not? Maybe bishop takes is good enough. I mean, I think it's probably good enough here. You might take, though. The real question is it take here? Makes sense. Because if you take here, takes here, rook d1, d4. All right, let's take this way. I'm not sure if this is a proper way to do it. I think it is. I may try to put some pressure on this one. Oh, e4 is interesting. I actually don't know if this is the right way to play for white. So if I go here, if he goes here, it's bishop f8 and b6. This puts enough pressure on c5. Yeah, I'm still. I mean, rook c1 is b6. Like here. This bishop is loose on a3. I mean, you probably need like a rook at a1 and replace this rook with e1 and have the rook another one with e1, and then maybe it's okay for white. But still, c5 is under attack though, so it's hard to say. b6. Could he really take, though? That's actually the concern. Could he take claim that takes? Oh, this may still be... All right. Here we could take, though. This weaken up a4. Okay, we're going to do it. He's going to take, though. I forgot that he could really take. The reason this works take because this may allow the... Yeah, that allows like a really good amount of pass pawns. So if I take here his bishop takes, you could still go for rook takes, but I mean, this may be more takes here. He's gonna trade everything, even fa, king takes, and this is gonna be fun. Yeah, he's gonna trade. I don't think rook c6 is ideal move. I could take here. This may weaken up his pawn, so king e7, king d6, and then I could round my king and the rook to take on c6. So this kind of moves are... So f4 is a nice move, though. f6, he take, pinning, e4, e4, and something like f5. E4. I mean, if you play here, it's okay. I suppose I could play g5. So if people doesn't see what g5 is all about, so g5, you could say f6 or something, but I could still weaken up his pawn somehow. It looks dangerous to play like f6 like this. Maybe the king could move to e8, d7, e6. So he played e3, and this move is interesting because maybe he's going for rook here, try to go for d5, like try to win d5. We're putting some pressure on d5. The real question is what to do. King e7 is maybe the closest move. There's actually here, next move. So the real question is what I need to be doing here. So if I may need to take some time thinking about this. So if I were to, I mean, this move is also playable. Here, rook c1, rook c8. And the real question is to get your king to c5. And then you try to put enough pressure on a4. So if here, can he play this? Then we bring the other rook here. Should he take? We go here. Does he has rook d4? No, c3. He can't take here with c2. We promote. So this is a big move. Takes, rook d1, rook c8. All right, let's try it. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. I mean, if he doesn't react, we could double the rooks. So let's say he plays king f2 or something. We could do rook d c8. Or this is hanging. Or e4 is hanging. Which makes rook c4 really kind of interesting move here. You could claim you could take here, but he could still play for rook c6, but this could get really annoying, rook e2. So he goes for rook c1, which makes sense. I have to go here. My plan is king c5, like all the way here. I mean, check here. This doesn't feel like... The real concern is rook here going behind. I don't think it works for white. King b4. And should you win this two pass... You should win a4 and b5. This has to be winning for black. If I were to get this kind of structure, like king goes and win these two pawns, and he going for f7, g7, this has to be good for black. Because, you know, once you win a4, b5, that creates a pass pawn on b6, and we already have one on c4. Okay, so he's playing here. This is actually interesting. If I play here, he's looking at this. That's a nice move, though. Even sacking the pawn. You're looking for some drawing chances. Maybe I could play rook e8 and king c5. Yeah, rook e8, king d2, king c5, king c3, rook d8. All right, let's try it. King d2, actually. King c3. Do we have this? I mean, e5 is still a move, yeah. But this has to be good for black. The reason is I could now take. Once he take here, I could play rook d3, and guess what? We have a new dynamic, new problem. Is actually taking on e3. I mean, if he plays here, it's a stake. So you have dealing with two passed pawns. There's also here. I could collect the other pawn here. This is a nice try, but I mean f5. I could even take f5. He could start chasing. Okay, f5. Should be good enough here. I could take here, check, or king b4 check. This is going to be hanging. I mean, this has to be winning somehow. Take. I mean, I'm up to pawn here, clear pawn. I mean, here, does he has time? I could check. I mean, this is also winning, but he might check me here and then go for this. If I check, he goes here. I could take the rook f6. This is actually annoying. All right, let's try this. You know, the professional move is actually check. Yeah, it is check. You might go here and then. If he goes here, I could go here. I mean, he could still check on d6. This is not what I was hoping for. I mean, you can take on f5. I'm sacking it because I have rook e2. Oh, that's great news. Two pass pawn, though, and it's kind of hard to stop. Okay, we could do this. Maybe I could have just pushed the pawn and I could still win the game. Could try this. I mean, I would love him to play like this passively. So now we could go here. This is also a way you could win. I could win here and here. We could check. I mean, hopefully it's not a draw. Hold on. Play here. Here? It's probably a draw now. But I'm down on the clock, so I'm facing... No, that's not... Here? If I get to play c3, we have a new dynamic, because he doesn't have here. I could always check. Could always checkmate even. c3 would be mating ideas on f1. Playing this was 1 minute. 1 minute plus. Yeah, that's a nice try. I suppose I could check and then win this. I still believe it's winning now. Because I could play here, and if he goes back here, I could go here, and this is actually winning. So this is winning. Now it's winning. This is where you build a bridge. You can unlock. I mean, you could even do it here, even. You could do it this way. I mean, I could go here this way, c2. c2! If he goes here, c2 here, I could check and then eventually win. Check is a key move. So I could play c2. This is an easy win. Check. You don't want to play c2. The reason c2 does not work is rook c3, and then he pick up the pawn. So he check first. That's the key move. Then you go here. You go behind the pawn. I mean, if the rook was on d5, I could probably build a bridge. So the king goes here, and eventually you promote something like rook e8. So he has to continue checking because this is like, you know, the pawn could always promote. You know, around here, I'm like threatening to promote in one move. All right, so here we do just a simple check. You may have to go here. Okay, now we do this. So he doesn't have here because I could promote and I could block with the rook. He didn't see it. Could block. All right, we won, folks. We won. Yeah, we could leave it at that. This game is really instructive. Ending game, I actually feel like I misplayed the ending game here. I mean, here is a draw, which is fascinating. I think the way to win this is e3. Yeah, I missed e3. I talked about e3 during the game, and e3 should be winning. Yeah, so e3 should be winning fast enough here. There's also a better way to win this. So f5 is pretty good. It's actually rook e2 is possible here. You could also do this. Probably there's no need to take on b5. My concern was b6, but you could take it once it lands on b6. So rook e2 is a move. Even here is winning still. I feel like this through here. Oh, rook d3. Oh, that's an easy way. And then e3. So here, and then you open up. But I felt like rook e6 is still interesting. But the king is start invading. So it's king d4. And it's hard because the king start moving to king e3. That's the reason why it's winning. That's a good game, though. Good game. We won. So the occasional video is going to continue, folks. We're going to have more of these. Tell your friends about me so we could, you guys could bring more people in to watch. It doesn't have to be you. It could be a lot of people. It's all together, learning, educational. This is going to be, as I mentioned before, it's good for everyone, beginners, because I do explain the moves, I do explain the moves as I go along. I have more time to explain. It's difficult when you play bullet chess. You have to be like a top GM or, a GM where you play bullet chess and you explain the ideas. Some people do it. But bullet chess was 3-0, still like a faster time control. While in 10 minutes, you do have more time to hear, to see the position, to follow along. So that's going to be the trend now on my YouTube channel, is to have more educational videos for improvements. You're likely to improve should you watch more. We're going to do a lot of these with different opponents. It doesn't have to be like 2300. You have to understand this. I'm actually also facing some stronger players, where sometimes games are going to be based on bullet. Even if we play 10-0, which is still fast time control, it's going to be end on like small details. It could be like bullet skills, which is something that I play as well. But since I'm explaining the moves, it may be a little bit challenging to to balance between the speed and evaluation and everything. But we're going to continue this trend. So hopefully you guys enjoy this and stay tuned for more videos. Take care, folks.